Justin Fields has just revealed the truth on why he chose the New York Jets, and in particular, why he chose to be the guy for Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn to start this tenure here in New York. And we're going to break it all down for you guys. What's up, Jet fans? I'm Julian Lacosto, joined by my co-host, Nick Perry, and this is the Gangrene Report. If you're tuning in, hit that like button on the way in and subscribe if you're new so you can get all the up-to-date information with all things related to the New York Jets this offseason. Let's get into the video, guys. Justin Fields didn't do an introductory press conference, but he did speak with Ethan Greenberg of New York Jets, and Randy Lange from the NewYorkJets.com wrote an article about him. Guys, we're just going to simply take a couple of the biggest quotes from the article, and we're going to kind of give you guys our reactions, our instant thoughts, and we're going to kind of give it to you guys to kind of see what your thoughts are on after. So the first quote that kind of stuck out to us was, I think number one, Coach Glenn Fields told NewYorkJets.com reporter Ethan Greenberg, I've played against him early on in my career. I know how passionate he is about the game, the way he coaches, and the way his players play. So I think that was the biggest thing for me coming in. Obviously, for me, first and foremost, this is something we've obviously heard from before about Glenn, even before he even got hired here as our new head coach. He's someone that everyone wants to play for. I think Fields can see how passionate he is for the game and how hard they play for him. And I, for one, am glad that this is something that he sees as a positive in wanting to be here. So that's something that really stood out to me in that quote. Nick, what do you think about this quote?
Yeah, I think 100% I agree. I think him coming in with that fire and wanting to play under such a good coach and also a very well respected coach throughout the league is great. And I'm glad he's coming in with that kind of attitude. And also, like you said, that passion to play for somebody who's just as much, if not more passionate about the game than you are. So including AG, obviously he was passionate about the game. First round pick, New York Jet. So he has that fire in him. He has that fire in him, turn around that Lions defense. But I think him getting to play against Aaron Glenn's defense as well in practice every day can elevate his game. And I wonder if when he was signing with us, if he took that into consideration as well, that he'll get to go against top-notch defense, and also why AG might have wanted him, he could turn him into what he really wanted because he got to play against his own defense.
Yeah, exactly. I'm hoping that's really what it looks like, for at least from that perspective. Obviously, brand new quarterback, new system, new coaching staff. You're hoping that that's what you're getting out of a player, especially like somebody who saw against this guy a couple times a year. But the next quote that we kind of hit on was, and just the opportunity, the fans, of course, in the city. When you win here, there's no better place to win. Those reasons are ultimately why I ended up here in New York. Obviously, for me as a Jet fan, you love hearing something like this. We have had 15 different quarterbacks since the last time the Jets earned a playoff berth. And he's certainly right. We are a very passionate fan base. And for a guy that is looking to revive his career, if he were to come in here and light the world on fire, this could be a place he can call home for pretty much the rest of his career. We'll love him, especially if we get to the playoffs after we haven't been there in 15 years. We might actually just build a statue outside MetLife Stadium at that point because we haven't been there in so long. It's actually insane that like the last time we saw our team in the playoffs was, what was it? It was 2010. It was 2010. So we literally you and me were like, we were in middle school, or no, we were in high school. We were
juniors in high school.
Juniors in high school was the last time, and that's like absolutely insane to say that. But Nick, what are your thoughts on this quote from Fields?
Literally, married, have a kid. I've had a whole nother life since the Jets made the playoffs.
Insane.
Everybody comes in here. I feel like coming from that quote, everybody comes in here and always says that when they come to the Jets, especially like they want to revive the fan base and bring us back to the playoff contention and this and that. I was like, we've heard it from Aaron Rodgers. We've heard it from coaches, Saleh. I mean, everybody. But something about Justin Fields saying it just seems a little bit different, and seems that he wants to prove it a little bit more than when the other guys came in here and said these kind of things. He was just put into that terrible system in Chicago, doubted and benched in Pittsburgh ultimately for Russell Wilson, who also had breaking news today. So that was intense. So I think that he's got that fire and he wants it bad, and wants to prove those haters wrong. And why not take literally the longest playoff drought team in 4 major sports back to the promised land? I think they would build 15 statues for each year we've missed the playoffs outside that life.
Yeah, not to mention, I mean, like you said, like, I mean, I like the point that you pointed out with the fact that, he was a top I think he was the 11th pick to Chicago. And then was benched in Pittsburgh. He was traded to Pittsburgh for a 6th round pick by the team that drafted him.
It's
That
insane.
lights a fire under you no matter what. And the same thing, Pittsburgh dropped him for Russell Wilson after he started 4-2 and was pretty much, from at least a passing perspective, way better than he's been in his entire career. Statistically, was on pace to have a very, very good season. Cut the turnovers down statistically as well. He was looking to have a really good season, and then next thing you know, we're seeing him getting let go for Russell Wilson, who ultimately is not even there anyway. As you mentioned, just signed with the New York Giants today, literally just like 30 minutes as we're into this video here. 30 minutes ago, that news was broken. So it's just crazy to think, but we love to see potentially a resurgence here, because obviously that means we found our guy. We don't have to go fishing for another quarterback next offseason. So,
Hmm.
the hope is that he can revive his career here for sure. But going into that next quote, the next thing he mentioned was, our relationship playing against each other means a lot because Detroit, of course, they've had a lot of success the past couple of years, Field said. So for him to want me here is definitely an honor. And I'm going to put it all on the line for him and do all I can to help this team be successful. Again, the two kind of battled it out 5 times in the past couple of years, and Fields came out on top 2 out of the 5 times. In those 2 games, Field had over 200 plus yards passing, killed them on the ground as well. So Glenn has seen what works against him defensively, seeing as he's beaten him 3 times as well. But also, he's seen the potential that Fields has, not only as a passer, but as a guy that can kill you on the ground as well. I like that Glenn actually wanted him here also. I just hope this is a marriage that leads to success in New York. And, the thing that really gets me going when it comes to this is the fact that Glenn obviously knew that obviously he was the best quarterback on the open market that wasn't named Sam Darnold.
Hmm.
So, obviously, and his youth is a big upside here. So I like the fact that he was aggressive in going and getting his guy, that he knew that, like, hey, I saw this guy a couple times a year. This is a young player that could come in right away and potentially lift our offense if he's put in the right system. Listen, like we've mentioned in previous videos, we're not saying he's going to be our savior, but it would be nice for once to hit on a guy and
Yeah.
bring somebody in that could potentially come in and be our guy for the long term if it works out. Nick, what's your opinion on this?
Yeah, we need to. We're bound to strike gold sometime with a prospect. I mean, like, we have to. But I agree. I love AG wanting the guy who has burned him multiple times different ways. Like you said, the passing game, 200 yards plus passing, which not a bad quarterback's going to throw that against the defense that he puts out there. And again, burns him on the run game as well. We always say Aaron sharpens iron. I think that was really big with us when Garrett Wilson came in to play against Sauce. And I think when they were going at it in practice, that we see every offseason. I think the same can be applied to Fields and Aaron Glenn. Is going to get him some new looks on defense and get him ready for whatever may come his way on the field. I think AG will also unlock some new talent, new skill sets that for Justin as a passer. And ultimately, I can't wait to see what he's got. Like you said, he went out there and got the best quarterback on the market. That wasn't Sam Darnold at the time. I mean, that never was going to happen for us anyway. So next best guy up is Justin Fields, and I think AG can unlock some great stuff for him for sure.
Yeah, especially with Tanner Angstrand coming over from that offense. That was an explosive offense. So the hope is that at least at the minimum, it makes our offense more exciting than it has been in the last couple of years. And I think that's what Justin Fields at least brings our offense is excitement. Somebody that
Yeah.
can tuck it and run and go for like 50, 60 yards on a run and be able to make plays with his legs. But also, I do think he's a little bit underrated in terms of his deep ball. His deep ball has he could spin the rock.
He
So
has a cannon.
yeah, so I'm a little bit more on the optimistic Jet fan side. I mean, obviously at this point the Jets have burned us multiple times, so at this point we're kind of numb to whatever happens. But I am positive and optimistic that hoping at least that this can be something different.
Yeah,
But
and I think like the whole thing with like his contract too is like it doesn't seem like we want him to be that long term guy, but like we're not going to pay the guy until we see that he can fit into our system. And like I said,
exactly.
I hope it is him. I hope he's here forever. That's everybody's goal. I don't want to keep cycling quarterback carousel over and over again.
Exactly. So
So
I
yeah.
mean, like you said, the way his contract is set up, it's favorable because
Hmm.
worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, we get rid of him after next season. if worst, best case scenario, he's getting paid middle of the pack money for a quarterback in year two, and we could potentially extend him if he has a even better 2025, 2026 versus the last couple of years of his career. If he
Right.
leads us to a playoff push and statistically looks the part, we could extend him in
Sign him.
2026. So it just makes life that much easier for us. But going into the next one, and obviously this is a easy one for most Jet fans seeing coming, but he said that my guy Josh just called me and said that he was planning on signing here. Once I heard that news, I was definitely excited, Field said, and Rucker and Garrett texted me too, so I'm excited to be back with some of my Buckeyes for sure. Obviously, everybody saw this coming, but I've mentioned it in past videos, but having that familiarity with a few of the guys already, being that he played for several years with Josh Myers as starting center, Garrett as wide receiver one, and Ruckert as his tight end, looking to finally break out, hopefully with this team this season if he gets the playing time. It's a good sign that our new quarterback one has some familiar faces and strong connections already in the building. The hope is that we can hit the ground running with these guys and bring some continuity to this offense that we aren't sure will be successful yet. But, I'm more so really excited about the possibility of Garrett having some continuity for once with a quarterback, since he's had 7 different quarterbacks in his career already in just 3 years throwing him the ball. So for me, I just like the continuity of it all. Nick, give us your opinion.
Yeah, I think having some continuity is huge, especially with guys on the field. I'm sorry. Having continuity is huge, especially when the guys are on the field with you. We've seen it pan out in the NFL multiple times with other teams who have brought in, college teammates. Derek Carr and Devontae Adams, great example there. I think also just having that support system off the field too in the locker room, not only on the field but in the locker room, gets you acquainted with the system. Obviously, it's a new system with the coaches that are coming in, but facility, outside the stadium, anything to make him feel more comfortable in that locker room and more welcome by the team, I think would be huge. And they can really get him locked in and help unlock that final potential that he has there. Who knows? Maybe, like you said, he can revive Ruck's career as well, even if it's just an uptick in receiving and blocking packages for him or just playing time. Garrett Wilson, for me, is the biggest winner here out of all the ex-teammates, I feel, who are with us. Like you said earlier, having 7 quarterbacks since starting, including probably a future Hall of Famer and Aaron Rodgers, and still having 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons is incredible. So hopefully with a long-term quarterback presence, he can unlock his even farther in his potential as well. We know he can make those amazing catches. He can get open, human joystick movements, but even if he could just expand his game at all, would be incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and while we're on the subject of the offense, obviously Tanner Angstrand and that offense in general, he had a quote to say about hopefully the scheme and the new offensive coordinator at that. And he goes, I know I definitely have some untapped potential. He said, I'm hoping to get there this year and I'm hoping to put it on display for everybody to see. So for me, Tanner Angstrand coming over from Detroit, he had a big hand in the development of Jared Goff the last couple of seasons in Detroit. The hope is that he can have the same impact with Fields, who up until now hasn't been known as the greatest passer in the league, but has seen improvements year in and year out throughout his career. I'm interested to see the impact the two have on each other and what this could mean for his career going forward in New York. And I hope that he has the big time resurgence like we all want him to have here. Nick, give us your opinion on this quote. Obviously, you talked about Jared Goff and Tanner Angstrom, but give us your opinion on what this means in your mind.
Yeah, I think like you said, we've mentioned it 10 times. I mean, Jared Goff having a complete career resurgence in Detroit. He looks incredible over there. Even if he just fits in the system perfectly, I think it's great. But I think Fields has so much unlocked potential. I think you hit on it before. He's got a cannon. Like, he can throw the rock. He's going to get it down there. Garrett Wilson getting down there. We're going to draft some form of a wide receiver in the draft. So another guy who can unlock his potential. It's just anybody. I mean, tight ends, safety blanket for him. If we can unlock even more running schemes with having an all-star running back with Breece Hall, especially Braylon Allen. I mean, even Isaiah Davis, just anything. I mean, it should be a no-brainer that we can unlock some more potential, especially just giving him in the right system and ex-teammates around him. This isn't like Aaron Rodgers bringing in his ex-teammates. These are guys that are with him in college and are young and can be molded into something more. This isn't just bringing in Randall Cobb because he's friendly with him and Alan Lazard because he was his number one target in Green Bay. It's like, this is a little bit different than that. And I think with that comes more potential that we could possibly have with him.
Yeah, exactly. I think the biggest thing, like with all of this, is that we're hoping that Justin Fields turns out to be the guy. I mean, I feel like at
Mm-hmm.
this point, I'm a little bit more of an optimistic fan than most. So I'm hoping that this is the guy that turns it all around. Like I said, 15 years without seeing the playoffs. At best, I'd like to just make the playoffs this year. I'd be happy with that. I'm not going to go Super Bowl hunting, nothing like that. But I would like to see strides in the right direction. We're coming off of a very embarrassing year with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. I just want to sweep that under the rug and hopefully usher in this new era with the new coaching, new GM, the new quarterback. I just hope this is it. But guys, I will link the full article in the description below. But what did you guys like from Justin Fields' first introduction as a New York Jet? Is there anything that stood out in particular? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Like this video, subscribe if you're new, and as always, guys, go Jets.